Well, for more now on the situation in Mosul, I'm joined on the set by France 24's expert on terrorist movements, Wassim Nasr. Wassim, what's the latest you've been hearing about what's been happening on the ground around Mosul?
Actually, since 3 days, there's a push from the east and then from the southeast too. And we know, for example, if you can see the map, that the French artillery is based just under the town of Al Houd, where we see in here. So we see French artillery, U.S. artillery, and U.S. special forces trying to bomb all the defensive positions around the town of Mosul, so all the villages. Yesterday they had very harsh fighting in Al Houd, and today we got to know that 2 new fronts got opened by the Peshmerga and also by the Iraqi forces. If you can see the map, also it will be much clearer. So the infighting is very intensive, and here we see the 3 axes of advancing today towards Hammam al-Alil and towards another town called Ashura, more north, which is a dense populated area, but we're still very far from the town of Mosul that we can see here on the map. And there's another, today the front that was opened, it was from Bashika through Bartella, which is around 20 kilometers away from Mosul. Infighting is around Bartella now, not in the town. They're not far from the town. And the northern front, which was opened also today from towards the town of Batnai, and Tel Kif is a stronghold also where the Islamic State is present. And we see that the Peshmerga and the Iraqi forces are trying at least to destroy the first defenses, the first line of defenses and the second line of defenses of the jihadis. And from the jihadi side, they are putting up the fight. They sent more than between 20 and 25 kamikaze attacks since yesterday. Here we see the jihadis in the town of Mosul at the night of the first attack. So they deployed into the town to show that they hold the town. Of course, they are masked, and they are masked for a very particular reason, because that we know that a kind of rebellion was tried to be incited by the coalition forces and by the Iraqi forces. There had been more than 15 executions of people in Mosul. Today, 2 Peshmerga, Kurdish Peshmerga that were caught by the jihadis were executed, and their bodies were put under a bridge. So the fighting is very intensive, but up to this point, we are still far from the town of Mosul, and we are still witnessing warfare in small villages and in open spaces, which has nothing to do with fighting in urban regions. And if we can maybe look at the map one more time, we see that the western side of the town of Mosul is kept open. We're gonna see it. The western side is kept open for a very simple reason that we see here, that all this region till Tal Afar and till Sinjar, where the Islamic State conducted attacks yesterday, is still held by the jihadis. And we know that in military warfare, when an attacking force is trying to encircle a town, whatever the town is, they always leave a way out in order for the people defending the town, in order to shorten the period of fighting. But as the American president said it yesterday, and as all military experts are saying, the fighting can be long, and still we are very far from urban fighting that we can witness in Mosul, as we witnessed in Fallujah, for example, in Ramadi, in Beiji, in Tikrit, remembering that all those towns were completely destroyed, and the population is today living in camps.
Wassim, today the French President François Hollande, speaking in a conference about the future of Mosul, said that Islamic State leaders are already fleeing the town. What have you heard about that?
I didn't hear anything from this sort, but maybe the French president is maybe informed from his sources. But what we should know is we are in wartime, and in wartime there's what we call psychological operations, which means trying to demise the enemy by hitting his morale. So by saying that the leaders are freeing the town, maybe the soldiers will flee, and maybe the population will rise against the jihadis. So this kind of information is to be taken very carefully. It might be true, but it might be not true too. We heard the same thing before the Iraqi forces took Fallujah, Ramadi. We always hear the same thing. And one more thing that we should point out, that the local leaders in the town of Mosul and in the province of Nainawa are mostly Iraqis from the city and from the same province. So like 10 out of 15 most prominent leaders in the town of Mosul and in the region of Nineveh are from this region. So we can imagine that they will put up the fight, even though that they might maybe try to exfiltrate their families. But I guess that it is too soon to say that they're abandoning the town, because up to this point, there is no real military pressure on the town itself in order for them to push them in order to leave the town and trying to flee the town.
All right. Wassim Nasr, thank you so much for that.
Thank you.